just so I know, so I don't like pick my nose or anything. Yeah.
Where are you right now in terms of how you chaotic last night?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me, guys. I've heard a couple of your podcasts, and you guys do an amazing job. So I'm happy to be here. Yeah. To answer your question, it's been an interesting year. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't think I've ever had more things happen in a 12-month period in my life than this last year, and I think the outcome of that, professionally, at least on the tennis court, has been that I, maybe haven't had the most consistent results, and I feel like I'm striking the ball clean when I, get the right training in, and but obviously this year has been kind of not the best for me on the court, but at the same time I feel like I can turn it around pretty quickly. So this year I come back strong.
For someone I do understand, and Mike makes fun of me that I have about 1 billion ventures going on at one time, and I can never find that stability. But for you right now, with the tennis side of things, are you finding the time, or are you just exhausted?
No, I'm finding the time for sure. I mean, I've had a lot of things happen this year that have negatively impacted my performance on court and my ability to put maximum effort into training in tennis, but it's still my priority. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I still, make sure that I do everything that I am supposed to do in tennis first, and then whatever's left of the day, I just, spend on the other projects. So I don't watch TV. I don't have time I used to play guitar. I used to do all this stuff. I have like no time. I go to bed at like, 11, 12 midnight almost every day, and maybe I'll spend like 30 minutes watching a couple of YouTube videos. Other than that, it's just emails, and it's just madness. So it's draining me out. I have like I pretty much work 7 days a week, and yeah, I need to find a little bit more time for myself.
taking a breath every once in a while. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're still an incredible player. Whether the ranking is where you want it to be is irrelevant, but something I found kind of getting into behind the racket or anything else I was doing, the one loss you have when you start to lose a few in a row, everybody's like, well, you shut up and play tennis. This is not, you're wasting time doing this other stuff. Are you feeling that? Is that pressure kind of mounting a little bit after all this time, or are you taking it?
It is. Yeah, for sure it's mounting, and but here's the thing. I mean, last year, 2020, and even the end of 2019, I was playing, I mean, for my standards and kind of my career, I was playing incredible tennis. I mean, I had 4 top 10 wins. I was I finished the race 28, and my ranking was 60 because I because of the new COVID rankings I had. So I was playing really good tennis, and I was incredibly busy. I was doing the same stuff I'm doing today. I mean, with all these other ventures and projects. And the thing is, they always, I feel like if you're busy, as long as it's bringing you positive energy and it's not like draining, I feel like there have been a couple of changes where a few of the ventures or a few things that I was doing off the court became a little bit more draining and stressful, and then that obviously can impact the tennis court. But I think the biggest thing this year for me was just the stability within the team. My coach, just with COVID, my coach couldn't travel. And I was with, my ex-girlfriend, traveling alone with her, which isn't great because, I mean, no, she's a sweetheart, but didn't really understand what it took. So I felt like I was being pulled away a little bit from things I need to do on the court. And that, along with, the stresses of COVID and PTPA and everything that was kind of going on, definitely, didn't give me the best platform to do well on the court. But I will say that, I can handle off-court stress really well. And I think the main thing really was just the stability within the team. My physios not being able to travel with me anymore because of COVID restrictions and them being Canadian. and then not having my coach, I mean, most of the year, and then also not playing that many events. I wasn't really matched off. I mean, I played only, I took 3 months off at some point, and I just played very few events.
You are how are you focusing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely bringing things back in a little bit. I mean, I've heard my physio with a coach. I'm currently looking for a full-time coach. So I'm here part-time with Vincent, and I'm motivated. I mean, I got really good, last 10 days I trained really hard. I had to take 10 days off after the Worlds for back injury, but yeah, I mean, I'm always motivated. I'm just an ambitious guy, right? So if I'm on the court, whatever I'm doing it 100%. So coming back to challengers, sometimes you got to do it. Let's say mainly ATP events over the years, but there's still, I mean, winning, doing well challengers is very tough. There's a lot of great players here, but it's also a good event to kind of pick up a little bit of steam and try to get some match wins and get rolling.
Now, I want to kind of transition to
Great. I can talk about that all day.
But I don't know if you were listening. Association, whatever you want to call it. And over the last year or so, when you guys got started, and I think now about the various proposals and thoughts, but I think we're both wanting the same direction, same general advantage. So I want to start with where we at it feels like there was that right now. Feel like there's kind of a gap here. And I don't know where we're
within the PTPA.
Yes.
Okay, so yes. So it's been obviously extremely challenging. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's at the end of the day, it's being, Novak and I have kind of been spearheading it. Novak has, very little time, and then I'm obviously doing it part-time. So we brought on someone that has a lot of experience in player associations, and it's taking a long time. You have to structure you have to incorporate, you have to grow the team, we have to bring advisors. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth at this stage. And the other thing is this, what's taken the longest time honestly is our kind of bringing on like the tennis executives, right? Because you need to have somebody within the organization, and not just one person, but a few that have deep industry knowledge of the sport, because tennis is so complex as it is that you can't have somebody, outside of the sport running the organization that really has no idea about how complicated it is and who's who in the industry, and how does the ITF and, work with the ATP, and what are the slams, like labor, there's futures, challenges, just way too complicated. So for us, the difficulty was actually finding those people. And I mean, there's a lot of confidential stuff that's happening now in the background, and I'm very hopeful and I would say excited right now, because we are, I would say, about January 2022 we can make some big announcements. And honestly, from there, I think but it's something that I can't even say who we're talking to. It's just so there's so many conflicts, and it's so and the games have been very dirty. I gotta be honest. I mean, they're the things that I've heard them say about us and what we're trying to do and what we're doing in the background, just all lies. Like it's just all lies. Even since then, like the stuff that I've heard, they're trying to start their own tour. Lies, not true. Yeah, no, not true. Yeah, no one's trying to do it. No, like, complete lies. They're saying that we're paying players to sign up with us. I mean, like, how low can you go, right? And that just shows how scared they are, of of players having a say and having a voice and being able to actually have some kind of leverage and power in sport more than they should. Because right now, they completely monopolize the sport, right? The ATP has a complete monopoly, and the success of the sport is completely contingent on the performance of one organization. And it's not an open market. And they've done an amazing job to set themselves up for that. They've done an amazing job to maintain the control. And that's hurt the sport. I mean, in a huge way. I mean, it's tennis is the third most popular, most watched sport in the world on the internet. It's the fifth most watched sport. I have over 1 billion fans. And it's you only have 100 players make it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? So, the PTPA and the Player Association is very good.
I can shit on the ATP for 10 years. I mean, we don't have enough time for that. But for you, I think the interesting thing, and for a lot of listeners, would be, what have you learned about players in this past year? I think, from starting group chats that we've started, and then you've started a lot, what have been the biggest barriers to overcome with how selfish this sport has, been proven in the past? I mean, what are the difficulties there?
Yeah, I would say, I would say the most difficult thing for us is to combat the false information that's out there, and all the different voices that are in the heads of some of the players that maybe don't understand the different conflicts of interest and why somebody will be telling them one thing and over another. I mean, we have tremendous support, and we haven't got to the stage where we're going to really start recruiting a little bit more aggressively. And when I say aggressively, it means like, okay, like we didn't even really go to all the players. We actually just went to, I mean, as soon as we got over 70% of the players, we had like 75% of the target players that were going out. As soon as we got to that number, we're like, okay, this is enough to really start pursuing building this out. And then we'll go after the higher ranked guys and all this later. We do have higher ranked guys for the record. But I think, the challenge is to really educate some of these guys as to why they hear certain things about certain people and the scare tactics. They're just trying to bring all this fear into a player, like, oh, if you sign with the PTPA, this is going to happen. You're going to lose your endorsements, and you're going to be with a bad standing with the ATP. I mean, they sent emails saying, like, it's crazy what's happening, right? And a lot of it, I'm not at liberty to speak about. I don't want to speak about, but it's I think by the middle of 2022, you guys will see something very, very different in terms of the credibility of the PTPA externally. The amount of support that we're going to have with the players, the top players. I think it's going to really pick up steam big time.
Number one, what we were just talking about. In terms of planning, I think right. So more so, I don't know what you guys do. Does that make sense? That to me has been.
Right. Well, I mean, we're trying to create a transparent environment, and we're trying to create proper representation for the players of the tour. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're one of the few sports, obviously for various reasons, but one of the few major sports that don't have true professionals representing the players without conflicts of interest and all the I mean, yeah. So and then the outcome of that will be more revenue to the players. We'll be able to retain our image rights. I mean right now, the fact that you have 100 players making a living, and you know that, right? So that's what the outcome will end up being, for sure.
It's just for me, like, that's clear, like, slam dunk. That's
Yeah.
and I don't. So,
Yeah.
you know, I guess the question is, why isn't there that simple, why rather than here's what we do?
Well, there is. I mean, we had a press conference where we were more. I mean, that, yeah, if you were listening, you know, see, we went through that pretty clearly, and we also have our website where all of our you know, the goals, what PTPA stands for, what we're trying to do, that's all there, right? So I think one of the things that's come up, you know, I mean, a lot of the confusion I think that's out there is also because a lot of the media is driven by you know, our foes, you know, kind of like, I think there was a lot of misinformation, and it was very confusing, and you know, everyone was very quick to jump on, you know, Novak, and there was this whole thing for a long time where every article was just bashing Novak. So right away, you know, you had all these journalists just jumped on the bandwagon, just started to write all these negative articles that made no sense, that had no backing. I mean, that made, you know, no facts. It weren't factual at all. It was shocking. And I mean, from day one, we've been super clear. And the thing is, but the problem is that from day one, we didn't have infrastructure, we didn't have our PR team, we didn't have anything to push that message. So the message was loud and clear from day one, but it was never picked up. It was just like lost in all the, you know, in all the noise. And I think that's what was really confusing, is because you have these journalists that are deliberately just write whatever they want, and they write, and to the point where, you know, I just stopped reading these articles because they're just complete. I mean, you know, they should be retracted. So
Yeah.
I think that partly, I think that's part of the reason why, especially early on, the message, you know, wasn't clear, because we didn't have the infrastructure. We launched, and we didn't have, and now that takes a long time to build. I mean, it's a very complicated, that's one thing I'll say, is that, you know, there's a lot more work than I expected. You know, I mean, I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be, you know, you're up against like Goliath, and you're up against superpowers that have had, you know, tremendous control and over the players and over the sport, and have done extremely well. And, you know, so I knew it was going to be a big battle, but it was, you know, more work than I expected. And a lot of interesting things happening in the back. When you have 3 billionaires on your advisory board that are helping, you know, there's also some interesting dynamics there.
We can only imagine. I mean, I deal with Mike every day, so it's basically the same. What's your net worth, Mike? Net worth? Okay.
Yeah, well, he has a shirt. He has a shirt that says he hates you. It says, "I hate Noah Rubin."
Yeah, those will be on sale very shortly, which is exciting.
I sat down, I saw that shirt. I was like, "Oh, this will be interesting."
Are we kind of, I guess the simple question, are we kind of past the point of the majority of players thinking that everything's okay in the status quo? Or are you still personally dealing with going up to players and being like, do you not see what's wrong?
No, I think definitely the vast majority are extremely frustrated. I think, you know, like I said, I mean, we have 75%, and we haven't even approached a lot of other guys that you know, like I said, we want to get to the point where we have all the answers, we have every person in the team that we need. We want to fill all the holes, and then at that point, I think it's going to be a breeze to just you know, get every player that we need, you know. And obviously right now that includes women. Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to recruit the women. Have been tough, actually. I'll be honest, I didn't expect them to be this hard to kind of get on board. I think that might have been, you know, something to do, I don't know how we started or whatever, but obviously we want the women involved, and it's, I think, you know, it's super important that they are a part of it. You know, we do have, I think, 70 to 80 women signed on, but I think they will come. I think they'll kind of come flooding in once we get to that point where, like you said, you know, there's been this lull, which I know, it's like, it's, you know, it's tough. It is what it is. And we know there's players that are probably like, what is going on? And, you know, but at the same time, I I'm not concerned because there's no reason for them to let's say, oh, we're going to leave the PTPA. Like, okay, well, why? Like, why would you do that? Like, okay, just, so, and then when we're at that point where we have that team and we have everything that we need and everything is built out, which is, coming very soon. I think the floodgates will open in terms of the support.
You mentioned it's been make more of these players in this route when they're
Yeah, I mean, this is the $1 million question, right? I mean, this is so one thing, PTPA, for example, we're not trying to change tennis, right? We're taking the current, it will change tennis just by it in itself. But what we're trying to do is we want there to be an open market. We want competition to be able to come up to compete with the ATP. We want basically, if you can come and do a better job and create a better event or create a better tour than is currently out there, the players should have the option to pursue that.
You don't have to,
right?
Stop.
Behind the racket, everybody should be playing that tour. Sign me up. No, so I think that is what will ultimately would be the outcome of PTPA. Let's say create kind of becoming independent from the ATP. So, and that might take 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long that will take, right? I mean, you have right now there's, for example, gambling and the data. There's so much gambling. There's so much money on all the betting and everything. How much of that are the players seeing? None, right? So suddenly, even just with that argument right there, if you have a player association, you could probably get something from that, right? You should be able to. So even in the current environment, you could bring in more revenue to the players. But why are we not having that? Because there's no player association. Because the big guys are keeping it for themselves. They're running a business. They want it to be as profitable as possible, right? So I think the other thing is that, if you come to challengers, especially, here in the States, or, you feel like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of demand, right? I mean, there's not a ton of people coming to watch. In Europe, it's different, but I think that's on the ATP. And that's because you're telling me there's not a market out there for the players that are ranked 100 to 200. Of course, people love tennis, right? So I think you just have to figure out a structure. For example, okay, I'll tell you this. I love the World Team Tennis model. Like I do. I think it's like NBA, NHL, all this. You can make stars out of guys that are 150. They have a big win, let's say you're playing a team competition, and they're a huge star in your city, right? And so I'm just saying that, and I know World Team Tennis have had a huge pushback, and they've had their issues of growing because their competition to the monopoly that's there. So, like I said, I just feel like tennis is stunted with its growth because of the monopoly that's in place, right? So that just needs to change.
No, that you kind of answered the question I was going to ask next. I was going to say, taking away from kind of the fundamental, the budgeting, the open competition, I look at tennis from a foundational aspect of, clapping between points, having fans cheering, a little bit more excitement. Are there any things along those lines that you would implement if you had the opportunity? Or is it right now the focus kind of just the open competition and let everything else follow?
Yeah, I mean, how I would run my own tour is one question, right? I mean, that's, like I said, I'm not the one. I want the sport to grow. I mean, I want players to be able to make a living. I mean, the fact that, like I said, the numbers don't lie, right? So obviously there's a big problem. I mean, if tennis is as popular as it is, which it is, I mean, like I said, the numbers are there, right? And it makes as little as it does, for the players. There's obviously a huge issue. And where do you point? Well, you point to the people that are, running the sport, right? Or the organizations. I mean, so I think, and you know, to some degree there, I know that current leadership is trying to change that, but not to the benefit of the players. Let's put it that way, because you know, there's this 30-year deal is when as soon as you're letting tournaments, you know, allowing them to expense infrastructure, and you do a 50-50 profit share, but they can pretty much, you know, they can build stadiums. I mean, they won't be profitable for decades potentially. Right. So where's that? So, and then what we have in the back end is a 2% increase, less than inflation. So that's great. I mean, right. So, and we know they're not going to increase the prize money next year because of COVID, and they're using that as an excuse. So where does that leave the players, right? I mean, again, I mean, I could go all day.
Are you guys at a point
It's definitely both. I mean, I think both of those, definitely both. And this is where you bring in guys, which we have, where you bring in guys that have decades of experience with player associations, and they know how to monetize, you know, the athletes. And I actually had a conversation with our lawyer about this the other day, and so they know how to do it, right? I mean, I don't know how to do it. You could ask me, I could go, well, you know, I don't know. It's not my job, right? I haven't worked at a NBA PA and NHL PA for 20 years. These guys have it, and the thing that's crazy is everybody that's gotten involved with us, and the more time they spend, the more passionate they're becoming about it, and the more they see how, you know, screwed the players are getting, which keeps me motivated. I mean, you know, it's been super tough. I mean, I know it's had a negative impact on my professional career for sure. It was something that I started when I had back surgery. I had time on my hands, and I'm just doing what I believe is the right thing to do. I mean, I'm not getting any monetary benefit from this. Like I said, I'm actually, you know, losing money, but because of my performance on court, right, which hasn't been ideal. But it's the right thing to do. I mean, and that's how all this started. And I'm, you know, we're too deep into it to look back, and I know that we'll be successful because. You know, the only time I would say, you know, fail is if at some point the players if we lost the player support, right? Which I don't see happening. I don't see why that would happen because of our mission statements, because of what we're trying to do. We're literally like, what's Novak trying to gain? I mean, the guy is worth, you know, I mean, he, you know, it's a legacy play for sure. I mean, you know, but I can tell you his heart's in the right spot, in the right place for sure. And I've gotten to know him really well, and I have zero doubts about that. So, you know, we have time, but we need to hurry up. And we're getting there.
I mean, that's all well and good, but, you know, we're dealing with a bigger issue here, and that's Mike's backhand. And
I haven't seen it.
It's not looking great.
No wonder he wears a shirt that says he hates you.
It's not my fault. The guy can't come around with his left arm. It's just the left arm.
Yeah. Okay, I'll actually keep that in mind for my back. I've actually been working on that exact thing the last week. So.
Well, let me know if it works, because this guy is.
It does. It does. I always work on it, and then I forget, and then I'm like, oh, I keep doing it. No, so many things you can work on. It's like,
really is. But Vasek, yeah. No, thank you so much for coming on. Really excited to have you, and excited to see how this all grows.
I easily. Yeah. Well, why doesn't Noah drop off, and then we can keep going? I know Noah's got a birthday party to arrange. So
that's for you, Mike, not Vasek. Don't worry, it's for you, Mike.
I would love to. I think the next one we have to maybe make it an hour. No, honestly, guys, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. Good luck with the show and everything in your back end.
Good luck this week, Vasek.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right. Noah,
Vasek,
thanks, bro.
we'll be in touch.
Thanks,
Okay.
man. All right, buddy.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.